So what is pre-writing? Pre-writing is the first stage of the writing process. Pre-writing is when you decide, what am I going to write about for my essay? How am I going to write my essay? And the answer to those questions comes about when you pre-write. In other words, you're still preparing what it is you're going to write about, what your thesis statement is going to be, what your outline is going to be. And so there are many different ways in which you can pre-write so that you can decide what it is you want to write about for your essay. So as I go over each pre-writing activity, I will discuss and give examples of how each pre-writing activity strategy works and how each pre-writing strategy can be applied in helping you create ideas for your paper to avoid writer's block. And then I will show you how to organize your ideas into a sentence outline. The first kind of pre-writing I'm going to talk about is brainstorming. So brainstorming happens, so let's say your company has a project. Everybody gets together and exchanges ideas on what to do for this project. And so Alan will say, well, why don't we do project A? We could do it this way. Then Allison says, no, I think we should do project B. And so everyone puts their brains together to try to come up with different ideas on how to start this project. So brainstorming is the same idea in which you toss around in your head many different ideas that you may have, many different kinds of topics in your head that you may have, and what is it that you want to write about. So you toss ideas in your head and you brainstorm what it is you're going to write about. And so brainstorming is a creative and unstructured approach to generating ideas and thoughts about a particular topic without any judgment. It's akin to a brainstorm where ideas flow freely, unburdened by the constraints of order or perfection. So brainstorming. So what are some examples of brainstorming? So when we brainstorm, we don't try to think about grammar, we don't have any filters, we just let our thoughts flow freely about the topic. So imagine you're planning a blog post about healthy breakfast ideas. Grab a piece of paper and jot down every idea that comes to mind, no matter how wild. Smoothie bowls, avocado toast, Greek yogurt with berries, homemade granola bars, quinoa breakfast bowl, omelet with veggies. Don't hold back. The crazier the idea, the better. So this would be an example of a brainstorming session if you're about to write a blog post about healthy breakfast ideas. What is clustering or idea mapping? Clustering or idea mapping means that in your mind, you put together words or ideas that are similar to each other. If you're a visual thinker, this one's for you. Imagine your ideas are stars in the galaxy and you're drawing connections between them. Central idea, satellites of thoughts. It's like creating your own creative constellation. So this is very similar to mind mapping. So let's give some examples of clustering. So you're preparing a presentation on climate change. Start with climate change. You got to think to yourself, what am I going to think about if I'm thinking about climate change? So if I'm going to think about climate change, it's going to be about global warming, extreme weather, sea level rise. From each of these, draw more lines to specific details: carbon emissions, hurricanes, melting ice caps. It's like building a web of interconnected concepts. What is mind mapping? Mind mapping is a visual technique for organizing ideas. It typically starts with a central topic and branches out to related concepts. So when I mind map, I draw a central circle where I state the main idea in that central circle. And then in the outer circles, I would write my supporting ideas. So in that way, I'm able to visualize my paper because I like to visualize my paper before I write it. So here's some examples of mind mapping. So imagine your task with writing an essay about the benefits of exercise. You start with the central idea, benefits of exercise, and you branch out with subtopics, physical health, mental health, social benefits. From there, you add more branches like reduced risk of chronic diseases, stress relief, improved mood, connecting with others, and so on. So when you do mind mapping, it's like creating a visual roadmap of your essay's content. Free writing. I remember my teacher, she told all of us to go outside. We all left the classroom. Then we had to walk 5 steps with our eyes closed. And then wherever we stopped, we had to stand there, and then for 10 minutes, we had to free write whatever we were looking at. So I ended up in front of an anthill, and I had to free write whatever came to my head to describe that anthill. So free writing is simply you just write whatever comes to your head for 5 to 10 minutes without stopping and without thinking about grammar and without caring about what the sentence structure is. You simply free write whatever comes to your head. And that's the essence of free writing, is that you let your creative juices flow. And a lot of students say this is their favorite part of the writing process. Free writing is a method that encourages you to write continuously without pausing to correct errors. It's an exercise in letting your thoughts flow freely onto the page without engaging in self-editing. And so an example of free writing, you're about to write a short story with the prompt, Lost in a Forest. Set a timer for 10 minutes and just write without stopping or worrying about grammar. Let your imagination run wild. The leaves rustled underfoot as I stumbled through the dense forest. A feeling of unease settled in my chest, and every snap of a twig sent shivers down my spine. I looked up, and all I could see were towering trees that seemed to touch the sky. Boy, I wish I could write that well. So anyway, this is what this author wrote, free writing, when you just write for 10 minutes off the top of your head. But the best kind of writing is when you relax. You have to find your own quiet place. You have to find, some people like to study or write when it's completely quiet. Other people need to play classical music. So you have to find the right space for you where you can do your best writing. Also, you got to find a time of day where you'll be alone so you can concentrate on your writing. But no matter what your style of writing, you have to find a way to relax and just let your creative juices flow. So crafting your pre-writing oasis. Imagine you're getting ready to write a personal reflection on your favorite childhood memory. Then you have to close your eyes and you set the scene by finding a cozy spot near a window, lighting a scented candle, having a cup of cocoa. Create an environment that transports you back in time to spark your nostalgic feelings. What is questioning? So questioning is also another kind of pre-writing strategy. And in questioning, you ask yourself questions like, what do I want to know about the topic? Why am I curious about the topic? What will be the main idea of the topic? Am I for or against the topic? And if I take a position, and let's say I'm for the topic, what are my reasons to be for the topic? If I'm against the topic, what are my reasons to be against the topic? And so if I can't think of reasons, and if I get stuck, I could always Google and look at the reasons. Or I could use ChatGPT for idea generation. So basically, questioning means, what are you curious about, and what is it that you want to learn about the topic? So questioning involves exploring a topic by asking questions. This method encourages you to dig deeper into a subject, uncovering key details and nuances. If you're preparing to write about climate change, you can begin by asking questions such as, what causes climate change? And what are the effects of climate change? So questioning is a great way to ask yourself why you're interested in doing this topic. It's a great way to find a position for your paper and it's a great way to think about many different ways in which you can write your thesis statement. And so questioning usually involves something called research question. The answer to that research question or research questions then becomes your thesis statement. So if you ask enough questions, then the answer to the question gives you a guide as to what it is you want to know and what it is you want to research. So start by asking questions. For example, how has technology changed classroom dynamics? What are the benefits of using educational apps? What are the potential drawbacks of excessive screen time for students? How do teachers adapt their teaching methods with technology? Another kind of pre-writing is listing. And this one is the easiest. You just simply list any word that's associated with the topic. So if I think of the word ice cream, then I would then write down it's similar to free writing, okay? Except you're making a list. So if I think of ice cream, I think chocolate, vanilla, cold, summertime, melting, sweet, delicious, freezing your teeth. Okay, so that's listing. That's all the things that I associate with. That's very similar to clustering also. So you simply make a list. Your listing could also involve reasons. So if I take a position on a topic and I say that I love writing. Okay, so listing. What reason do I love writing? Writing is relaxing, reduces stress. What else? Reduces stress. Helps me learn more vocabulary. Helps me with my reading skills. Helps me with my English. That sort of thing. So you list everything that you can think of about that topic. So listing is a straightforward technique where you jot down ideas in a list format. It is particularly useful for creating organized lists of items or concepts. As an example, you can list the ingredients and steps required to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So here are some examples of listing. So here you have interactive whiteboards, online collaboration tools, personalized learning platforms, virtual reality in education, e-learning, digital divide. And so by questioning and listing, you're delving deep into your topic, exploring various aspects and generating a lot of ideas for your paper. So after you've done all the free writing, all the listing, and all the questioning, and by the time you have your outline, you've already chosen your topic, you've already come up with a thesis statement, you've already come up with reasons, okay? So by this time you should have that, and if you've done your mind mapping, you've got the central idea, your main idea, so you already know that, for example, gun control is necessary because of reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. Or smoking is really bad for your health because it causes lung cancer, stomach cancer, and throat cancer. Okay, so you've got your main idea and you've got your 3 reasons. Now you do the outlining in which you put into more detail. So when you say that cigarette smoking causes lung cancer, then you got to write subtopics to prove that. Or if it causes throat cancer, then you got to write subtopics to prove why it causes lung cancer, why it causes throat cancer. So you've got to outline and make a roadmap of your paper. So outlining involves creating a structured plan. It's a way to organize your ideas logically and ensure that your writing flows smoothly. For instance, if you're composing a report on endangered animals, you could create an outline with sections like introduction, causes of endangerment, and conservation efforts. So crafting your outline is like constructing the skeleton of your piece, of your paper. Each point and subpoint forms the framework that supports your argument. And so your outline will become the roadmap of your paper. There are 2 kinds of outlines. You can either do a topic outline or a full sentence outline. And I prefer doing a full sentence outline, in which I write out full sentences in my outline, because for me, it's much easier for me to then transfer that outline to a rough draft. And so right now, we're just finishing up. So now as you have your outline, you're now ready to go to the second stage of the writing process, which is to transfer your outline into a 5-paragraph essay. And that is the second stage. Remember, the first stage is pre-writing. Second stage of the writing process is actually writing the rough draft. And then the third stage is revising the rough draft or rewriting the rough draft. So writing, pre-writing, writing, and rewriting are the 3 stages of the writing process. And so we're pretty much finished with this one once you learn, how to do outlining. And so outlining is a great way to, write down what your main idea is and organize your ideas logically. So you have to in order to get into a good writing mood, you've got to make sure you're relaxed, you're not overwhelmed, you find a quiet place to study, and you are able to focus. So tackling being overwhelmed. So let's pretend that you're working on a research paper about artificial intelligence. Break it down. Create a checklist with tasks like research AI history, explain machine learning, discuss ethical concerns. This is the reason why we have an outline, so that we're able to organize our ideas so that writing the rough draft is not going to be overwhelming. Dealing with perfectionism. This means that your paper doesn't have to be perfect the first time around. And it's okay to make mistakes. So that's the beauty of pre-writing, is that you allow yourself to make mistakes. You allow yourself, or you forget about the grammar, and you just allow your creative juices to flow. And that's the whole purpose of pre-writing. So get rid of any idea for now of perfect grammar, because later you can always put your paper through Grammarly to get good grammar, or you can put your paper through ChatGPT for good grammar. So put away the idea and the angst that comes with it of having the perfect paper. So otherwise you'll get writer's block. So let's say you're going to write a short story about an unexpected adventure. And when you do your pre-writing, give yourself permission to write terribly. It's okay if it's disjointed or cliche. The main idea is to get your ideas down on paper without worrying about perfection. That is the essence of pre-writing. The whole reason why we have pre-writing, it's about getting your ideas on paper without worrying about perfection. That's the whole point of pre-writing. So be happy when you write. And that is the best way to write. And that is why writing can be fun if you don't get so stuck on perfectionism during the pre-writing stage. So if you have any questions about this essay or about this presentation on pre-writing, feel free to email me anytime.